Now, with all of this awareness of imperfection, then there's anger present, right? The problem is with ones, it's righteous anger. Because there's a right way to do things, and as it turns out, their way is the right way to do things. And because anger is a negative emotion, if you ask ones if they're angry, they'll say, no, I'm not angry. I'm frustrated. I'm a little bit tired, but I'm for sure not angry. And the only way you can level the playing field is by finding fault in other people, right? You know how little kids do that. When they get in trouble, they'll say, she did it first, she threw it first, she did it yesterday and you didn't get on to her, right? We do that too. Ones say, look over there, he doesn't do that right at all, and she didn't get that right. And that way they have a place to stand. Otherwise, how are they going to stand anywhere? If they're just wrong all the time and you're right all the time, there's no room for them. And their passion is pride. In Enneagram language, pride is an inability or unwillingness to acknowledge one's own needs and suffering while tending to the needs of someone else. Richard Rohr says that twos are always on the make. He says they're always seducing you. And it's because they believe that you're not going to be in a relationship with them if they don't flatter you or if they don't pull you in some way. The great fear for twos is that you don't need them, because they believe if you don't need them, you're not going to want them, and that you're not going to. So they actually don't usually know what they feel. They just verbalize that their feelings are what they've picked up from you. They do have an expectation of getting something in return, but the expectation is hidden in the two. They're trying really hard to be who or what they think we want them to be. So actually, they're just trying to give you what they think you want. So there are all these ways that they can dress themselves up to be whatever's called for in the moment, which we like a lot. And we ask for that and that. And because until you hear the Enneagram, you ascribe to the world the way you are. What threes then do is they assume that you're doing the same thing, that you're trying to be the right person for the occasion, for the group, and for the event. And because of that, they're more cynical and more suspicious than other numbers are. And because threes have deemed it necessary at times to be positive and optimistic and all of that, even when they don't feel that way, they've learned to cover every emotion. So they literally can have a feeling and set it aside. And then tragic stories is the talk style for fours, and they're not sad. They're melancholy. And they like being melancholy. So don't pat them on the head and tell them to cheer up. Don't withhold your sad stuff from them because you think they're depressed. They're not. They're melancholy. And for them, it's bittersweet. Sometimes I'll just have 3 or 4 days where I'm so sad. And sometimes in a 3-month period, I'm just for 3 or 4 days on top of the world and everything's fantastic and it couldn't be any better. But what you need to know about fours is that they have that mood change about 10 times an hour. So what you see now is not going to be what you get in 5 minutes, because that's happening to them all the time. And they tell me they don't even know which mood or which feeling to grab as it goes by, because they move by so quickly. Fives have very strong control needs. They want to control through knowing. And they sometimes use analytical knowledge as a substitute for emotional experience. And knowledge is power for fives. So fives want predictability, but you can't have it. And for fives, their mental life is very sustaining, so they think their way out of difficulty. This sometimes means that they're overly mental when feelings are called for. And they prefer to observe rather than participate. They're not people who feel a need to join. My best friend since I was 18, she's 10 years older than I am, and she's a 5 on the Enneagram, and you could beg her until the world is flat to bring homemade cookies, and if she doesn't want to bring them, she's not bringing them. Fives don't get pulled into things that they don't want to do. Sixes believe that the world's a slippery slope and that people have hidden agendas. And I would say that their fear might be better understood as anxiety. Sixes are concerned about possible future events. So sixes, before I teach your number anymore, I want you to know that the message from my theologian and from me for you is trust your own experience of God. Not somebody else's, your own. And trust your own experience of life, not somebody else's. You can trust yourself. We trust you, so you can trust yourself. You hold every group together that we're a part of. I know that you're not leaving. You're awfully quiet sometimes. And I think we need your perspective on everything. And so for them, the idea of new and interesting experiences or possibilities is part of the gluttony. You see that, right? But it's also part of the gift. When situations get to be really intense, sevens have an urge to laugh or to point out the absurdity of it all. A smoke screen of activity, they always have a backup plan, and then they always have another backup plan behind that. But then we get mad at them for being sevens. It's like we want them to be this way, except when we don't. And we want them to be fun, but then we get on them for not being serious. And they kind of con us. They've already pulled us in, but when they don't want to be there, it sucks the air out of the room. And sevens are dutiful. So they do their duty in family or in organizations, but if they don't want to be there, you can hardly breathe. When they enter a room, they're like a larger-than-life presence. Even if they're not big and even if they're not loud, just because of their energy, you know when they've come into the room. You know. But I'm so discouraged about the way that we view eights. So, you know, male eights, we love them. They're strong and quick, and they're good leaders, and we want to fall right in behind them, and they tell us what to do, and we say okay, and it feels so safe and so comfortable. And you put all of those exact same gifts in a female, and we call her a bitch. And it's kind of a bad deal if you're a female eight, because when we want you to be strong, then we like you just like you are. And then when we want you to be soft, we expect you to be different than you are. I don't think eights have any idea how they affect other people. Nines are boundaried internally and externally, and they're trying to keep in anything that would cause trouble, and they're trying to keep out anything that would steal their peace. So that's exhausting to do a day, keeping in all that and keeping everything else out. Their experience is that they just find it easier to go along with other people. They find the rest of us to be very loud and very sure of ourselves, and they figure, I'll just kind of merge with you, and I'll go along with you, and then I'll see. And often nines keep their thoughts to themselves. Please be very clear that the fact that they keep their thoughts to themselves does not mean they agree with you. It means they're keeping their thoughts to themselves. They appear to be unaggressive, and they appear to let bygones be bygones. So let me tell you where the bygones are. They're stored like arrows in a quiver.